All right. So you're looking to drive sales off Amazon this holiday season? Well, I was looking around my office the other day and I realized I share an office with someone who's run over $50 million in non-Amazon ads in his career. So I was like, why don't I bring on my office mate, Ryan McDonald, to share some tips on things you could do relatively simple to get started and drive some sales off Amazon this holiday season and maybe even beyond the holiday season as well. So Ryan, thanks for being on Maximizing E-commerce today.
Boom. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I know I've seen you do this podcast. I've listened to a few episodes, and I'm honored that you chose me to be a guest.
Yeah, I was like thinking about it. I was like, I have someone here that's run more paid ads than probably anyone I know. So I was like, why don't I just have him come on and talk a little bit about e-commerce? Because you currently have an agency where you help people who have different size businesses and things of that nature. But I know you've done quite a bit in the in this world of paid ads. So just to help everyone understand your background, because I know you, but not everyone does. You and I worked together at an insurance agency where neither of us were necessarily selling insurance, but you were working on the lead generation, and then you left and started your own company helping companies of all different sizes. But how did you get into the whole paid ad world?
Yeah, and it's it's kind of a fun and fascinating story. I came from a non-traditional background. Right out of high school, I was very interested in data analytics, analysis, and also the internet. I graduated in '07, and so the internet was really just starting to take over the corporate world, or just starting to take over like business in general. I was very interested in the internet, and I actually got into online poker. So, using probability, data, and analysis to make money playing poker. And I played poker professionally for 3 years. Had two sponsors, and I wasn't balling on. I didn't have yacht money, if you will. Some of my friends had 7-figure plus years. Me personally, I was just making a upper middle class income playing it. But right out of
That's
high
pretty cool.
school,
I mean, most people can't say that they're a professional poker player making an actual living, though. So that's pretty awesome.
yeah, it was real neat. Like my friends were in college at the time, and I was just like playing poker a couple hours a day, and then like going to the bar with them. It's like it seemed, and traveling all over, by the way, and it seemed like and it really was a very fun lifestyle for a 21-year-old. Um, But then on April 15th of 2011, the Department of Justice and the FBI shut down the four largest online poker sites. And if you had your
Yikes.
money, yeah, if you had your money on those sites, it got taken. By who? By the federal government. Thank you, Obama. um, you know that meme, thank you, Obama.
Well,
Thank
yeah,
you,
I
Obama.
got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
Okay,
So
okay.
not political, but just,
No, 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 just
because
from the
that was who
meme.
was in office at the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
basically the federales came
the
around
federales.
and shut down your poker. So what did you do next?
Yeah, so they collapsed the industry. The whole industry was gone, by the way. And so, I mean, I was out of a job, didn't have any real work experience, and it was in the worst recession since the Great Depression. And a lot of my friends moved overseas to keep playing poker. I considered that route, but after talking to my family, I decided to just switch industries. Um, and so I went back to school in college, and went for I got a degree in business management, with an emphasis in marketing. And as soon as I got back into college, I realized that I was a little bit behind because I was what 22, 23, and a lot of people are already starting to graduate at that time with their bachelors, whatever. And so I realized that I needed to start working in the field right away. So I got an internship, my foot in the door right away as soon as I got into college. That way I was working my way through. I won some awards in college. Got started in paid ads in college, of course.
Okay, and this
Um,
is all part of the internships and the
Full-time
competitions you were
jobs,
doing.
and yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
I worked full-time job, full-time school. Um, etc. Extracurriculars all at the same time. It was a very busy time in my life, but it laid the foundation for future success.
Awesome. So basically, after the federales um, came in and said we're shutting down online poker, Ryan, you're done. You got to go find something else to do. You decided to go into marketing, and then you started running some stuff into paid ads. So, kind of walk us through your paid ad career, so to speak, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So my first job was B2B, working at a $1 billion plus company, his B2B company in their e-commerce department. From there, after about 2 years there, I went to a advertising agency, online advertising agency, where I was employee number one. After spending a couple of years there, I went to a large B2C company, took over their online advertising. And in the time I was there, they went from about $40 million a year in revenue to $200 million a year in revenue.
Awesome. So, and that's pretty big growth for a company,
Yeah.
to go from that size. It's one thing when you're growing from like $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month in sales, but but that's pretty big. So, what was their the B2C company? Is it mostly e-commerce? Is it brick and mortar? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was a B2C e-commerce company that had, for most of my time there, little to no presence on Amazon. So this was all off Amazon sales. And they were in the truck accessories business. And they were kind of like the Walmart of truck accessories, if you will. Maybe a little bit more higher end than the Walmart of truck accessories, but maybe the Target of truck accessories. Um, but anyways,
Right.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, when I started there, I was the digital marketing manager or digital marketing specialist. I worked directly with the owner. At that time, the owner, I mean, he loved paid ads, and so he was like running the company, but like at night would go log into the Google Ads account and make changes and stuff like that. Like he was obsessed, even way after he should have hired it out that position. He was still running it. So I worked directly with him. Started building a team around me, became digital marketing manager, and then eventually became digital advertising director once it was acquired by another company. So we were acquired by a private equity group and merged with one of our competitors and created like a super online truck accessory company. And I led the combined digital advertising department, team of 7, monthly ad budget, just over $2 million a month.
Gotcha. So, of their sales that were as high as $200 million, what percentage of that was coming from online ads again?
60 to 70%.
Oh wow! So they're doing it, and they must be doing it profitably. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist to be a
It's
$200 million a year company.
it's how
With
the whole
most of their
company
sales are
ran.
advertising based.
Yeah, yeah, it's how the whole company ran. I mean, we would see, we would see some organic traffic decline um, during part of my time there. For a little while, it was looking a little hairy on the organic side,
Yeah,
down
people have
25.
horror stories of some of that time period, and Google made changes to organic.
Yeah, and so we're down maybe 25% year over year on organic traffic, but it didn't really matter because paid ads was up 130% year over year with a better efficiency than the previous year. And so when you have numbers like that coming out of your paid ads department, I was a popular guy at the company.
Nice, nice, nice. So you were doing pretty well there. You were helping them grow uh, by about $150 million a year in revenue, if my math is correct there. Um,
Well, it wasn't over 1 year, that 150 million. It was over a
you're
couple.
so
Yeah, yeah.
modest. Yes, I
Yes,
get what
yes.
you mean though. Like it was
Okay,
over
okay.
time,
Yeah, yeah.
over a multiple year period. But either way, there was still good amount of growth there. And then
Yep.
you and I ended up getting to know each other from left that company and you were working in the insurance field, growing a lead generation program there. So you've gotten to
Build,
know Google pretty well, from my understanding, right?
Yeah, and I would say building a sizable lead generation program from scratch with that insurance company. That was really a unique challenge where you can go from nothing to massive scale right off the bat. And so yeah, that was a fun project. And yeah, when it comes to knowing Google, I mean that's been my bread and butter since I got into the industry, 6+ years ago now, depending on 6, 7 years ago. So I would say 80% of my spend of that 50 million in spend, and it might even be more than 50 million to be honest, but has been on Google. So yeah, Google's my bread and butter.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. So you've gotten to know Google pretty well, and I know now that you're helping companies of smaller companies,
Yes, all
uh,
sizes, but
all
mostly
sizes.
small,
Yes.
small and mid.
Now, for the e-commerce world, what would you say are like the ways, like with paid ads? What are the available options on Google?
On Google, yeah. So Google has 4 different ad types, or four maybe ad formats, however you want to put it. You have Google Search, you have Google Shopping, you have YouTube, and then you have display. So you've got your display ad units, your video ad units, your shopping ad units, and your search ad units. And when it comes to e-commerce, number one priority should be Google Shopping. That's really like the how Google views a competitor to Amazon. Their Google Shopping product is going to, be that shield of which they can guard themselves against the growth of Amazon. But also Google Search is a fine option for e-commerce companies.
Okay, good deal. So basically, you're saying start with Google Shopping. Now,
Yeah,
for some people listening, probably understand a little bit about Google Shopping or have thought about Google Shopping, but for those who are not familiar, just describe the difference between Google Shopping and regular search ads.
certainly. So Google Shopping ads get triggered when Google views a search query as having a product um, or a buying intent. So if you search for printers, you know, printers for sale, they know, okay, that is someone looking to buy a printer, and so it views the most relevant ad format as shopping, right? So it says, okay, shopping over search ads for this sort of query. And then you'll see little pictures with the
Okay.
name of the company and the price, etc. And you can kind of scroll through, click into, etc. To view more information. And that's Google Shopping in a nutshell.
Okay, so basically and I think we've all seen it where you do a search on Google and you look for something and they kind of sense this is a product you might be intending to buy, or search intent is I think they call it. And then you can get pictures. Now, where are these pictures coming from?
They are coming from essentially your website, but they're coming from a data feed that goes from your website to a Google Merchant Center account. And that Google Merchant Center account is then associated with your Google Ads account. So it goes from website, and it's all data, website, Merchant Center to Google Ads.
Okay, great. Now, for someone that's listening to this is saying, okay, now you're saying this is kind of their shield to protect them from Amazon. Like, wh- from your understanding, what is the direction Google is really looking to take the shopping ads long term?
Yes, and I've been to Google headquarters. You know, I talk with Google a lot in my line of business. I interact with Google several times a week. Um, and let me say that Google is going to be, and this is a little on the DL. It's not. I mean, if you look for it, you'll find this information. But I'll just
I would
let you
say
guys
it's
know.
not DL when it's on a public podcast, but go
Right,
ahead.
right. No, that's fine.
Inquiring
Listen,
minds want to know.
yes, yeah. So here's where Google's headed in the direction of shopping. Google is eventually going to say you're going to have your Google Wallet that is tied to your Gmail account. Within that Google Wallet, you'll have your billing information, your shipping information, and your credit card information. that is going to be attached to your Gmail, right? So anytime you're logged in, which you're always logged in on a phone or a computer, whenever you're on Chrome, whatever have you, right? You're always logged in. So they tie that information to your identifier, which is your email. And then once you have, let's say, once you make a search on Google or one of several Google-like properties that they have partnerships with, click into shopping, and shopping is functionally going to be like Amazon with like a one-click checkout, because all of that information is stored and attached to your Google ID, right? So you look for printers for sale, and okay, there's a whole bunch of printers that Google pulls up like Amazon would, because Amazon's just a search engine, very much like Google's a search engine. And instead of having to go over to the website of the printer company, you stay on Google, you purchase from Google, and then Google passes your the money, the billing, and shipping information to the company. But you don't ever go visit that company's website. You stay on Google, and it's a one-click checkout, and your information is already saved. So what they're looking at doing, in essence, is replicating Amazon in a certain sense, but staying on Google instead of Amazon. And they're in the process of building that out. That is the long-term play. It will be Amazon's a search engine, Google's a search engine. If you view both of those like that, it makes a lot of sense that if you're doing business on Amazon, you should be doing business on Google.
Got it. So basically their long-term play is to kind of be almost like a Amazon, but not quite, but you can do all the shopping right there on the Google search. But right now, that's not necessarily the way it is. So like right now, if somebody wanted to purchase something they saw in a Google shopping ad, they would still go to a website. Like, if you had your own website, is that correct?
Correct. For the vast majority of situations, correct. There has been some Google experiments, Google testing of this feature, but they are not there yet. So the vast majority of your Google Shopping ads experience will still be going to that website to complete the checkout process.
Okay. So for someone's listening who says, okay, I'm interested in maybe trying this out to maximize holiday sales, or if they're listening to this in the future and they're just saying, I want to kind of stake my flag in the ground, so to speak, on Google and start getting a presence there from a paid Google shopping ads perspective, what would be the first thing that they would need to do to get started with this?
If they don't have a website, that's what they need to do. And they need to, if they want to take advantage of the holiday season, they need to start now, start today, because they need to they need to really get moving, because we're getting to crunch time. If they have a website, assuming the data is good on their products, which let's hope it is, and in most cases it's probably fine. They open up a Google Merchant Center account, and then they start exporting the data from their website into Google Merchant Center. And that'll take a little bit of time. There's a lot of more details I could go into, but that's the main process.
Yeah, and there's apps that like if they have a Shopify store, Shopify has apps that do it all for you, right?
Do it all for you. They help. They're helpful.
Gotcha. No, nothing's totally hands off, but at least it makes it simpler.
Yeah, exactly. It's not pain free, but it's less pain when it comes to setting it up, like pain in the butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. So
okay.
it makes some of that much simpler to do. Okay. So basically it's what Google's doing is they're pulling pictures,
prices,
information about your product, whatever,
shipping
into their merchant center, which decides if someone looks for white sock versus white iPhone case, that's what it is that they're looking for.
100%.
So, gotcha. So when you start off, is it like to use, I guess Amazon is because a lot of people listening are on Amazon. Is it like Amazon auto campaigns where it just decides what to show it for, or do you have some control like a manual campaign where it says you take certain keywords that you want to go after.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Amazon Auto Campaign, because it's very similar in a lot of ways to the Amazon Auto Campaign. It's not a one-to-one direct comparison. There's some differences there, but it's extremely similar. So if you are familiar with Amazon Auto Campaigns, it's not going to be a completely foreign process to start a Google Shopping campaign. I think, and I'm, using negative keywords, much simpler process in Google than Amazon. The Amazon negative keyword process is a pain in the rear end as compared to Google. Google, that's way, and Google's advertising products are a lot more advanced than Amazon. But yeah, so it's very similar. If you're familiar with one, it shouldn't be too foreign for you.
Okay, got it. So it basically runs as, making sure that like whatever keywords you have in your listing is what Google uses to decide what based on what they think the person's intent was when they searched for something. That like, oh, okay, if you're selling printers or socks or iPhone cases or spatulas, whatever the case is, if it seems related, it will potentially show that. Now, these are still paid ad products, so you're not getting these for free. So how do they decide who gets who gets displayed?
Yeah, and I would say bingo to what you were saying before. When it comes to what you were saying in terms of data feed and the information on the product, and it's determined by an auction. So good old fashioned auction. There's no auctioneer up there with the 250, 251, who, etc. But it's a real time bidding auction
Mm-hmm.
that takes a variety of factors into account, and depends on competitiveness, depends on your industry, depends on your product. Some products I've seen competitive bids be 10 cents per click, and others I've seen them be closer to $3-4 per click. um, and really the market determines the cost per click.
Gotcha. So ultimately, it comes down to the market of who's bidding for a product. So if it's it's kind of like Amazon though too. Like if
Yep.
it's a competitive product, it's going to be competitive bidding. If
Yep.
no one's even thinking about this product and not really many people are bidding on it, your bids are going to be lower. Now,
Bingo.
on the same side too, like what kind of um, you know, cost per sale is realistic, or does it depend on the product?
Highly dependent on a multitude of variables. Um, I can't say there's a general rule of thumb when it comes to one type of advertising and the cost per sale, just because there's so many variables that go into that. But what I will say is, whatever you're experiencing on Amazon in terms of the cost per sale, with your Amazon ads, um, it is likely that you can achieve similar or better results with Google Shopping. And I just had a recent experience of this with a client where I took their Amazon ads. They're running Amazon ads. They weren't sending any paid ads to their website, and we started Google Shopping. That was the first ad type that we launched for them, and boom, right out of the gate, they were getting a very profitable cost per sale. That was actually exceeding their cost per sale, that they're getting from Google. And when I say exceeding, I mean was lower. So not only were they not paying Amazon fees, right, which is something that people need to remember, that you're paying for Amazon fees and also the cost per click, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, because at Amazon, you're paying them 15% for every sale plus fulfillment fees. Now, fulfillment fees are actually usually pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But to your point, that's 15% that you're not paying because Shopify is not charging you 15% for the transaction.
Exactly. 100%. Um, and so when you factor that in, Google Shopping is a real value. And like I said, think about Amazon as a search engine. It is the largest mall in the world. What is Google? It's a search engine. Now, Google search engine has info and all these other queries that Amazon doesn't get, right? You don't search for how deep is the Grand Canyon on Amazon. That doesn't make any sense. But there's a giant chunk of product and based searches that happen on Google, and you want to have that presence there. You already have that presence on Amazon. What are you doing if you're not taking advantage of this giant chunk of the market over here? And it'll be more and more Amazon-like as the future goes on.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So, you could look at it as you're kind of staking your claim to sell a product and do it on Google, because Google's looking to become another, or be more Amazon-like, I guess you could say. Because to your
Yes.
point, I liked your analogy that, like, if Amazon is a mall, Google is like a mall, a library,
Yep.
a museum, all kinds of different things.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
they've gotten pretty good to know when you're putting something in, are you wanting to know library information, or are you looking to make a purchase? Because at the end of
Yes.
the day, people still do research on purchases. And so that's why they have the shopping platform, because at the end of the day, people are buying stuff. And if it wasn't working, I'm sure they wouldn't be doing it.
Yes. Exactly. And it works like a charm. As someone who has managed a lot of Google Shopping campaigns, um, let me tell you that Google Shopping, generally speaking, works very well. And now there's considerations that are maybe not unique, but things that you need to think about when it comes to Google Shopping. How competitive is the product? Very similar to Amazon, right? What's my price point? Is my price point competitive? Very similar, right? How many reviews do I have for this product? There's a lot of different things to think about that are in the same exact vein as Amazon. And so if you
Where
know
are the reviews coming from, though?
they're attached to the product, right?
So is that like you use a system like I don't personally use it, but like Yotpo or something like that, where you have like a verified reviews on your product in, like, let's say Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever system you use? Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. Yeah, it transfers over. If you have product or SKU level reviews, it's something that'll transfer over uh, in the data feed process. But it also, if you have, if you're shopping, and another consideration, which by the way is bigger on Google Shopping than it is on Amazon, but brand strength, right? So if you're Johnny's Corner Store and you're selling the same product as Walmart, right? Because they both run shopping ads. People know that brand Walmart. They might not know Johnny's Corner Store. And I feel like that's a larger consideration one has to make on Google than it is on Amazon. A lot of the time, I don't even look to see what the seller's name is on Amazon. Because I just look for, is this what I need? Okay, and then do they have good reviews? Okay, but I don't
Gotcha.
even look at like, oh, this is sold by Jack's Print Shop.
Right. Okay.
You
So
know,
then for those of us who are more like Johnny's Corner Store or Jack's Print Shop or whatever, or even if it's their own branded product or whatever, because if people are comparing different products, what are the things that someone starting out who doesn't have reviews or doesn't have the brand strength of Walmart or Amazon, what are the things they could do so that they're more likely to get that click and someone buys?
so I would say make sure that you're competitively priced for your category, but just get started. That's what I would say, and have a long-term mindset. Don't have a I'm doing this for 2 weeks sort of a mindset. No, you don't. You didn't get to where you're at on Amazon with well, I'm going to give it a go for 2 weeks sort of mindset. No, this is a long-term mindset. You want to dominate this platform like you're doing on Amazon. Um, and so it requires dedication like anything else. If you just dabble your toe constantly in life into all these different ponds, you'll never even go for a swim. So dive in, uh, you know, kick around a bit. Water's fine.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because at the end of the day, like, if you don't get started on something, you'll never get the data, you'll never find out. And to your point, if it's 2 weeks later and it's quote unquote not working, well,
Yeah.
anyone that's run Amazon ads for a length of time probably knows, like, oftentimes, especially with a new product, it gets better over time as you start getting more reviews and as you
Yep.
get more things. But if you have a long-term mindset of, I'm going to figure this all out, you're going to be more likely to figure it all out than the person that says, well, I tried it for 3 days and I didn't become a millionaire, so I'm done. So
Yeah, and trust me, I've worked with a ton of different companies, and the most successful ones are the ones with a longer term mindset, where they're like, oh, I spent $200 on Google Shopping ads, and I didn't get a $2,000 return on investment. It's not working. Sorry. And it's like, dude, you've been at this for like 2 weeks, and you got a positive ROI, but it's not the ROI you want, and you're gonna give up. And it's like, you know, that's not the way to be successful in this business. So, um, you got to have a long-term mindset.
Gotcha. Okay, no, I see what you're saying. So it's all about the long-term mindset, the long-term play. So let's say, so as I understand it, the journey would be start off making sure that you have a website, which would be a good thing to do anyway, just because
Yeah.
sometimes people may look you up to see if you have a better deal than what's on Amazon. Not to get into Amazon's rules and where they are at this point in time, which I don't even remember the exact rule now. I think they are a little more lenient on, you can have lower priced products or outside of Amazon than what you're offering it for on Amazon. But
Really? They changed that? It used to be the other way, I thought.
it
Like it
used to
has
be
to be
the
the
other way,
lowest
but they
price on
recently
Amazon.
changed it. But I don't want to dive too deep down that rabbit hole because
Okay.
I'm about 73% certain of what I'm saying now. But the point is, you can at least get started with getting your website up, knowing that people could search for you and they maybe just be curious. And maybe somebody who bought your product on Amazon goes and looks for you online, and they might want to buy it again, but they might not even think to buy it on Amazon for whatever reason. So at least just from that perspective, get a website and then get
Yeah.
a merchant center, which is a Google thing,
It's
and
free.
then basically link Google and your website so that at least Google now is kind of like Amazon's auto campaign, that if you wanted to run shopping ads, they operate like auto campaign, where you could tweak what's in your product description and run negative keywords to make it better. And as time goes on, as you get more reviews, not on your Amazon listing, but on your website, then you could get better conversions and better click-through rates and things of that nature. Did I sum that up correctly?
You summed it up great, Kevin. That's why you're the man.
Well, I'm just trying to live in your world there, Ryan. But okay, cool. So all right, so I think this has been helpful. That basically Google Shopping ads is another way people can drive sales, and it's relatively quickly, because if you're running content, I think that's important to do as well. But that's a long-term play. Whereas
Right.
at least with Google Shopping, you could start seeing results fairly soon, if
Yes.
I'm understanding correctly, and then you can
Correct.
start optimizing those results fairly quickly. So, and then as you're looking at it, though, you kind of have to use the view of, it's because Amazon doesn't say your return, or sorry, your ACOS, your advertising cost of spend is this plus your referral fee. They just say your ACOS, whereas it's kind of basically, you're looking at it, if you're comparing apples to apples, your ACOS. Although Google doesn't use the term ACOS, do they?
No, they use cost by conversion. I mean, they have a ton of different metrics, but the comparable one would be cost per acquisition.
Okay, so your cost per acquisition as a percentage might be a little bit higher even, but you still could be better off in the long term because you're not paying a 15% referral fee to
Correct.
Shopify or whatever. It might be like 3% for payment processing or whatever the case is.
Yeah. 3% payment processing is super standard.
Yeah.
Um,
So bottom line, the point is, you could be a little bit higher and still be better off as a percentage when you compare comparable metrics with Amazon ads to Google ads. So
Correct.
that's something to think about. Okay. So this has been very helpful. So if somebody had additional questions, or they wanted to follow you or whatever the case is, where would they find you online?
Yeah, I'd let someone know that in this conversation, we just scratched the surface of what's possible to grow your brand off of Amazon. And if that's something you're interested in, uh, go to shadedigital.com. I do allow free consultations, which is essentially like an hour where we go over your business, we discuss what's possible for you in your unique situation. And then we come up with a proposal that if you want, we can work together. But if not, you've got some great expert advice in a one on one situation to go about and execute by yourself if that's what one so desires. So, yeah, go to shadedigital.com, book a meeting, or just shoot me an email directly, RyanM at shadedigital.com.
Awesome. So they can email you or go to your website and I know because I'm right next to you. You're a very giving person with sharing information to people. So
Yeah.
if someone did have a question of like, wait, can you clarify this or how might this work for my situation? I know that you're always helpful and, at least just answering those basic questions for people and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you for providing this information. And I learned a few things here myself. So I need to get started back up. I had done Google Shopping in the past, but I need to get back into it before the holiday season. And since I'm
Yeah.
saying it here on the air, so to speak, I'm kind of holding myself to it. So um, thank you so much for being on Maximizing E-commerce today, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, and good luck to everyone out there listening.
Awesome. Thanks.